Quick editor's note. I know my hair's a mess right now. I'm in the middle of editing this video and I figured I'd give some context. I have to do a lot of traveling throughout December, so I'm doing certain basketball things here or there. OG Anunoby got traded after I made this video, so just skip over it. Don't complain about it in the comments, and if you do, it helps my algorithm. So guess what? I don't care. All right, go watch the video now. Love y'all. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. So we're about 30 games into the NBA regular season now, and there hasn't really been too many moves yet. And I think that's because a lot of the top teams are honestly waiting to trade a lot of the people that they've recently signed. But what I thought we could do today is look at some of the top players available. There's certainly been some names that have been thrown around up to this point. We've all seen how many people on the Bulls want to be traded. The Lauri Markkanen rumors are starting to kind of pick up a little bit. You know, who are the hottest names that have been in the trade block this year? Who's actually going to get moved? And we'll take a look at some potential moves. So thankfully, Bleacher Report's done a lot of that for me and put together a list of like the top 10 people that are kind of rumored to be moving around and some potential trade ideas. So I figured we could take a look at these. I'm sure these are going to be some names that we've talked about on the channel before, but I'm interested to see, you know, who's hot on the block right now and what do we think we can get for him. The first one on the list is Jordan Clarkson. And if you guys watched the Utah Jazz video, we talked about how they have a ton of players on the block right now that are like quality basketball players that a lot of teams have shown interest in. It's actually been pretty cool because that Utah Jazz video has done pretty well to hear from a lot of Jazz fans and kind of what they think about each of the moves. When it comes to Jordan Clarkson, I think a lot of them want to see him moved. They think that he's kind of in this boat of, yeah, his effort isn't always great. He's kind of just playing for himself right now. He's trying to just get accolades and numbers, and we're kind of okay if he goes. Obviously, at his peak, Jordan Clarkson is one of the better like scorers in the NBA, especially off the bench. That's where he excels, right? He's the backup guard that just comes in and gets you buckets. He can score from three. He can get to the rack. He can do a lot of things. He's really not out there to do much else besides go get you some buckets. And, you know, every contending team needs a guy like that so that when you go to the bench, and your starters come out, you're not giving up a ton because maybe you don't have an elite defense to at least kind of keep the plus minus at a 0, but you throw him in and you hope that he gets hot for a little bit. That might just be enough to win you a playoff game. Yeah, they note here that Clarkson, who's 31 now, that's kind of crazy to think, but I guess he came into the league a little bit older. Yeah, he has had kind of a down year this year, but I'm willing to bet that that's kind of like what Utah fans are saying. Like, he's kind of just playing for himself. If you throw him onto a contender, I bet you he's the type of guy that focuses up, really locks in, because he's like, okay, I'm on a good team now. Now I can kind of start rolling. The trade they have here is Jordan Clarkson to the Rockets for Victor Oladipo, Jacques Landale, a 2027 first-round pick, top 7 protected, and a 2025 second-round pick, and they should have just said 2 second-round picks. I don't really care about the specifics. So throwing him in Houston, I guess I don't necessarily understand that one. So, like, I understand that the Rockets are trying to make a playoff push and they're trying to get better, but you've also got a lot of players kind of at the guard position already between Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson that you're trying to fill in, Jalen Green. So I don't know, I guess your thought is maybe Amen doesn't play as many minutes or something like that, but I don't know. It seems like it's worth developing these young dudes that you still have on the team. Like, I thought that was kind of the point of bringing the vets in, is to kind of help the young dudes develop. But maybe they're trying to kind of skip the process now a little bit and just trying to start win right away. So yeah, if you look at this from the Jazz's perspective, like, that's a fine return. You don't really care about the players. You just care about the picks, and that's probably the amount of picks that you get for Jordan Clarkson at this point. Victor Oladipo, we'll see if he takes the court again. We hope so. Jacques Landale hasn't really found a spot on the team, which is kind of odd. I kind of figured he would, but I don't exactly know, if you're Houston, why you do this. All right, next we got Bojan Bogdanovic. Yeah, he's put in a lot of trade rumors because the Pistons are very, very bad at basketball, and he's one of their quality vet players that can come in and get you 20 points any night, play solid defense, right? He's a floor spacer. He's come right back in from injury and just kind of picked up where he left off. You know, very consistent player, very smart player, very refined skill set. Any contending team would be happy to have him. I think immediately, like a team like Dallas would love to have just kind of like a wing scorer like this that can space a little bit, put the ball on the floor a little bit. But the argument is always for the Pistons, especially as at the time I'm recording this, they've recently broken the all-time losing streak record. Sorry, Pistons fans, is, you know, you're this bad. Maybe it's just worth keeping these vets, these few vets that you have that are productive players, to just try and build something because you're in such shambles. So the trade they're looking at here is Bogdanovic to the Magic for Gary Harris, Chuma Okeke, a 2024 first-round pick, a second, and another second. Okay, so I love the thought, especially if you're the Magic, right? What position does he play? Does he come off the bench then? I guess now that I kind of think about it, spending a first round pick for someone that's going to have to come off the bench, I don't know, because you're not putting Franz at like the two. Yeah, no, I'm not messing with this one if you're Orlando. I love the thought because the thought is Orlando needs shooting. Bogdanovich can shoot. He's a veteran. They don't have like a ton of vets at all on this team, so I like that. He's just not the right one to make that move work. But yeah, and the return that you're getting, like, I guess you're getting a first round pick if it's top 10 protected. I don't know if it's worth it. I think I'd rather just have Bogdanovich on the team. So I'd have to imagine if you're a Pistons fan at this point, you'd rather just have some talent on the roster. What do we got next? Yep. It was about time my Bulls started to come up. There's old Zach LaVine. So Zach LaVine's been out for a little bit. It sounds like he's going to be coming back soon. We all know the deal with Zach LaVine. One of the better scorers in the NBA, can truly score from anywhere. His finishing's elite. His shooting's elite. His playmaking's not like horrible. And I know people kind of criticize him as like a defender. I don't think his on-ball defense is necessarily like great. I don't think it's bad either. I actually think his off-ball defense is pretty good. I think he's in the passing lanes pretty well. And I think there has been a significant improvement in that. This season, it's been kind of like, but I think everything's just been kind of for the Bulls this year. I feel like all these dudes are kind of just playing for themselves at this point, unless you're like Alex Caruso, who just happens to play really hard every game because we love Caruso and that's what he does. I'm sure he'll be on this list as well. But, you know, any team that's looking to add another scorer, the Sixers, the Kings, Knicks, Heat, he'd probably be an ideal fit for them. All right, so what do we got? Zach LaVine and Andre Drummond to the Knicks for RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, and a first round pick. Honestly, as a Bulls fan, that's kind of like the deal I expect to get for a guy like LaVine. Honestly, like if I'm the Knicks though, I'm trying to find a way to turn that into more of like a Quentin Grimes, maybe another pick. And you don't want to give up like a Quickly or something like that. Obviously, Fournier has to be involved because there's a ton of money in the Zach LaVine one. You can have Andre Drummond, like that's just fine. I guess they need a center right now too. Now that Mitch Robb went down, that actually probably be a really good move for the Knicks. But yeah, just adding another scorer like this that can play a little bit of off ball if needed. At least like it's present in his game. He prefers to have the ball, obviously, but Zach LaVine has off ball capabilities, and so maybe Tibbs can kind of help form him into that. But then you picture a lineup of the Brunson, LaVine. I'm taking Barrett out of that trade. Barrett, Randall, and then I guess Andre Drummond or maybe Hartenstein still starts just because he has a little more effort. Like that's a nice team. I don't know if it's a title contender, but the Knicks are always looking for a guard, and I think it puts them in the right direction. And you're really not giving up a ton to get it. And if you're a Bulls fan, getting a guy like a Quentin Grimes, a Fournier, and like I said, you're probably adding another pick if you're taking Barrett out of it. I don't know how you make the money work, but figure it out. You're getting one first round pick for LaVine at this point. That's just probably what it is. Maybe you get two if you take Barrett out. So I'm cool with that. I'd rather just go see him on a team that's competing right now. Who do we got next? Malcolm Brogdon. Oh yeah, I kind of forget that Malcolm Brogdon's in Portland, just kind of chilling right now with them bum ass boys. But we all know Malcolm Brogdon, the president, does everything well, right? Good shooter, good leader, good floor general, can score. He's a do-it-all guy. He's the above average starting point guard, right? He's not an all-star, but he's always above average. And the Portland Trailblazers don't need him right now. They have a ton of guards. Maybe you say it's worth having him as a vet on this team right now, but they've expressed interest that he doesn't really want to be there and they don't necessarily want to keep him. So moving him somewhere else is probably the move, and a ton of teams would love to have Brogdon. The trade is Malcolm Brogdon to the Raptors for Chris Boucher, Thaddeus Young, Malachi Flynn, and a first-round pick. So are we saying that the Raptors are like buying at the deadline? So again, at the time of recording this, we got a 12 and 18 Raptors that probably should kind of only keep dudes like Scotty Barnes and keep Dennis Schroeder just because he's a nice lead guard and everything. But why are we bringing in Malcolm Brogdon? Why are we acting like that's like the missing piece in this team? I think it just needs to be acknowledged that guys like Siakam and Anunoby aren't like 1 and 2 like options, you know, like they're very quality players, but they're kind of like third options at the most. And I know Siakam's numbers were crazy last year. He was very underrated. But again, like somebody has to score on this team, right? Like, and you know, it's not Gary Trent anymore that's getting you like a sneaky like 17 points or something. So I don't know. I don't understand sending Brogdon to the Raptors. I could see a team more so like in Orlando maybe. They've got a lot of guards and they could just use more of a veteran guard on the team, especially since Markelle Fultz has been a little banged up. Or honestly, like if you're just the Spurs would be awesome if you could get him there somehow. Just having a nice vet, someone that'll pass the ball to Wembanyama. I'd like that. DeMar DeRozan, another Bull. I'm always going to find a way to talk about my Bulls. So obviously the rumors have kind of been the Heat and the Knicks, right? I've given my piece a couple times on why I don't think he fits with the Knicks. They've got Brunson, they've got Randall. They're very isolation-heavy players. I think throwing a third very isolation-heavy player doesn't help them. I don't think that's the move. I think LaVine would be a better fit for them. Whereas a team like the Heat, who don't have as many like go-to scorers or anything, they could use a guy that's kind of out there to go get you some buckets in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to imagine that's where this trade is taking him. DeRozan and Caruso. Okay, to the Heat for Kyle Lowry, Nikola Jovic, 2 first-round picks, a pick swap. If you told me that was 2 first-round picks, I'd say that's probably a pretty good trade, actually. Like, Lowry's there for salary purposes. Jovic is some guy you can build that the Heat aren't really using right now. I say build isn't someone you can develop a little bit. I think both these dudes are worth first-round picks by themselves, so I think that needs to be 2 first-round picks. But for the exact reasons that I was saying, Caruso fits in perfectly with this team. They need another point guard, right? DeRozan's their go-to scorer now on a team with a lot of dudes that can go get you buckets on any given night. I think that makes the Heat back in like the contention category, not even from talent alone, but just culture, effort, and you've upped the talent enough to where you're a contender at that point. And again, if you're a Bulls fan like I am, that's the most you're getting for these guys at this point. I think Caruso is he's a role player and a first round pick type of guy that you get for him, and DeRozan, first round pick kind of guy. We get the young guy in Jovic. Again, Lowry's just there to fill salary and everything. Maybe he gets bought out or something, can go join a contender. But no, I like that move. Oh, and there's Caruso again. So Caruso, probably the most valuable asset on the team because he doesn't make a ton of money at all for the Bulls. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know it's like less than like 10 million or whatever, which isn't like anything in the NBA nowadays. You get a ton of effort, right? We all know Caruso's the guy that doesn't show up in the box score. He's more refined Patrick Beverley, right? And a more consistently on the court due to lack of hijinks type of player like that. His defense is absolutely phenomenal. His shooting is always quality. He makes effort plays. He can get to the rim, right? He plays within the team. Every NBA team would love to have Caruso. The trade here is Caruso to the Kings for Davion Mitchell, Chris Duarte, a 2026 first-round pick, and a couple of seconds. I mean, if that's the trade that we got, cool. Like, Davion Mitchell and Chris Duarte, like young dudes that have shown like a little bit of something in the NBA, but I don't think are really going to become anything. So I don't really care about those. I think that's probably the right amount of picks that you get for him. As for where he fits, so they want him coming off the bench then for Fox, which makes sense. You know, that's kind of his role. And he's going to be the primary backup point guard for the Kings. I could see that. They got a lot of energy on this team already. So throwing in a Caruso to the whole light the beam energy and everything, you know, I've seen worse ones. I haven't seen the Kings in contention for him. I've only really seen the Kings' interest in like LaVine. But I kind of like that move. OG Anunoby, yeah, there it is. The versatile 3-and-D wing, right? Goes and gets you 18 to 19 points every night. A lot of teams view him as like a third option for teams that don't quite have their big three yet. So I'm looking at OG's numbers here. You know, the numbers are dipping a little bit. I feel like the Raptors just don't quite know what they're doing, and I'm going to attribute it more to that this season. But like free throw percentage is a little down. That's concerning, but still shooting like quality 3-point percentage on a lot of attempts per game. So you get a ton of defense out of him, right? So I'm not too worried about a team that wants to take on Anunoby. He doesn't make a ton of money either. He's probably going to want a pretty hefty extension is probably what holds a lot of teams up, but let's see where they want to send him. OG to the Grizzlies for Luke Kennard, Zaire Williams, a first-round pick, another first-round, 3 first-round picks. Okay, so you're giving up guys like Kennard, who I think Kennard's a little more valuable than we think because of the floor spacing around Morant. Zaire Williams shows like a little bit of everything. Nice athlete, can shoot a little bit, can get to the rack a little bit. He's kind of their plug-and-play, like, wing right now. OG's obviously a lot better than both of those guys, right? So you're pairing him with the Ja Morant, the Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr. thing that you got going on. OG can kind of play the 3 and the 4 for when you want to play Jaren at the 5. So the Grizzlies obviously are trying to kind of salvage their season right now too. They're what we can take a look at their standings actually right now at the time of recording this. They're 10-19, but they've won like 4 in a row, so that tells you how bad they were since Ja came back. And they don't want to waste a season of Ja, right? They have a good team. Aside from the fact that they have like no center on the team, and Marcus Smart's been pretty banged up. But bringing in an Anunoby, like he's on their like age timeline and everything, so I guess that's fair. If I don't know why, like it doesn't seem like OG Anunoby's worth 3 first round picks. Like I know it's kind of because of the contract, like because like let's look at it this way: Zach LaVine's like a way better player than OG Anunoby. Y'all can at me in the comments if you think otherwise, but I think you're ignorant if you don't think that. But LaVine's not getting that many picks probably because he makes like $40-some million, right? Whereas Anunoby makes a lot less. So if that's the reason we're trying to justify it, I don't know. That doesn't seem like it. I could see 2 first round picks. I don't know about 3. So yeah, I don't know about trading that much for an Anunoby if you're Memphis. I'd want to keep some flexibility. I feel like when you're one of these rebuilding teams, you want to always have like 1 first round pick in your pocket. So if you're really, really good in a season, you can use that first round pick to go get you like kind of that last piece of the puzzle maybe. So I don't know. That seems like a lot of picks to move for Anunoby. Next one, Pascal Siakam. Yeah, Spicy P. So yeah, we all know Siakam's a very good player, right? He's all-star level good. He's not a great like outside shooter or anything. He's more so he works around the rim. He's really nice in transition, right? He can pass a little bit. He can rebound a little bit. He's a nice defender. But where does he fit in? He's not a number 1 option. Most likely. Again, I think a lot of his numbers are inflated because of the situation he's in Toronto. But like, if you told me he's a 3rd option for like a Dallas Mavericks or something, I don't know how they make that money work, but that's something that's a little more interesting to me. I think what interests me the most is that he can really play within a system because he has so many skills. So I'd like to see him around some more stars. So they're sending him to the Pacers. Okay, I already like that because they need a power forward really bad. For Buddy Hield, that worries me. TJ McConnell, I don't like that. And Obi Toppin. A 2026 first round pick in a couple of seconds. See, this is what I'm saying. And now, like, I guess they're getting more in the trade, but it's only 1 first round pick for Siakam then. I don't know. The first round pick weight seems a little off to me, but that's a lot for Siakam. Like, he's a very, very good basketball player, and you want to start helping Tyrese Halliburton as much as possible. I'm going to argue that Buddy Hield might be more valuable to Tyrese Halliburton than Pascal Siakam is. And I know we've heard that Buddy Hield kind of didn't want to be on the Pacers at one point. I don't know what the current deal is there, but Buddy Hield and his like shooting is so valuable to Halliburton, who's trying to feed everybody on the court. Having dudes that just catch and put that ball up and can hit that shot, that's something that those guys love to play with. Like, that's why Michael Porter Jr. will never be more valuable than he is on the Nuggets, because he's got Jokic, all he wants to do is pass the ball to Michael Porter Jr., and he wants him to just put that shot up right away, because he's not passing to him unless he's thinking that he's got an open shot, right? And Buddy Hield does the same thing, except he's a lot shorter. So I like the fit of Siakam. I feel weird giving up all that, and like all those players and everything Toronto doesn't care about. They don't want like any of these dudes. TJ McConnell's a wonderful basketball player. I want 3 TJ McConnells on my team if I can. And Obi Toppin showed some solid things for them this year. I think I'd rather just have Obi Toppin and Buddy Hield and McConnell and keep my picks if I'm them. Like I don't think that this is a poor evaluation of what it takes to get Siakam. I just don't think it makes the most sense for Indiana. Lauri Markkanen, there it is, the finisher. We all know Markkanen. He's probably, I'm going to hope he's an all-star again. I hope he's not one of those things where like he was an all-star last year, and now that the league's kind of aware of him, they're like, well, he's on a bad team and putting up good numbers. It's not just like the first time he's put up really elite numbers, so they're not going to make him an all-star, because I do think he is like that good. But, like what team wants him? The one team that I think about the most is OKC, but upon talking with some Jazz fans, a lot of them are like, can we just keep Lowry? Like, that's a lot of what I hear is they're like, like we'd rather just kind of keep our all-star and everything and build around him and everything. And, they're trying to put something together, trade some of the other guys. Let's just keep Lowry. He seems to like playing in Utah, hasn't really complained about it. And one of the comments that I saw that made a lot of sense is they were like, I think they're just kind of saying, hey, if you throw enough chips at us, you can get him. It's just, we're not really looking to move him. But I know people love the idea of sending him to OKC just because that sounds awesome. And then if for whatever reason they had to trade Giddey because of the other things, that kind of makes just a ton of sense. but let's kind of see what they're doing. Okay, yep, Markkanen and Kelly Olynyk, both guys I'd love to see on the Thunder. For Ousmane Dieng, Trey Mann, Bertans for salary purposes, first round pick, first round pick, first round pick, first round pick. Yeah, so OKC's got all the picks in the world. You know, we think about, they're like, oh, they can draft everybody. They don't want to draft everybody, right? At some point, they're going to use all these picks to go get a star that they just want. And this is one that they could do. I'm sure that they've made phone calls about it. I mean, why wouldn't you? They're like, how many picks do you want, man? We got all of them. So, and they've got players like Bertans, the Trey Mans, and, you know, a young guy like Dieng to be like, look, we can make the salary work right here. We don't even have to give up Giddey or anything. And we'll see what happens with the Giddey situation. But they can just bring in Markkanen, who would be a phenomenal fit for them. And I think Kelly Olynyk would actually be an underrated addition as well, because they don't really have a backup big on this team. So having another backup big that can space the floor for guys like Shea, J-Dub, and Giddey, who are always trying to get to the rim, I like that a lot. I like that move a lot. So if this could happen as a basketball fan, I'd love to see it happen. But for all you Utah Jazz fans out there that want to keep Markkanen, I completely understand that you don't want to trade him. All right, who's the last one? Donovan Mitchell. So this one's so interesting to me. Like, I feel like these rumors just kind of came out of nowhere, because where are the Cavs ranked right now? They're 6. You know, it's kind of what I expect from them, I guess. And maybe they're thinking they're not going to be able to re-sign him, I guess. But, you know, Donovan Mitchell's like an elite player. So unless they really don't think they can re-sign him, like, man, I'd really like to keep Donovan Mitchell. The Cavaliers weren't playing great even before losing Garland, to the facial fracture, and Mobley to the knee surgery. Yeah, like, I know those guys are out and everything, but like, is that really enough to blow up this team that they haven't been together very long? Like, I want more time to develop this team. You know, Mobley and like Garland are young, and like Mitchell's not that old either. Like, I don't know. I want to see this team kind of put something together. I feel like they've got a ton of great pieces. But what are we saying? Donovan Mitchell and Ricky Rubio, aren't they working on trying to kind of buy Rubio out of his contract because he's just kind of too stressed to play basketball now? Hope he's okay and everything, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. To the Brooklyn Nets, interesting, for Cam Thomas. So basically, poor man's version of Donovan Mitchell. Well, I shouldn't say that, because he doesn't really play defense, and Donovan Mitchell's a pretty solid defender. But anyway, you also get Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, Noah Clowney, a first-round pick, and a first-round pick. Okay, so you gave up a lot to get Donovan Mitchell, right? Like a ton. And you'd get back a dude that goes and gets buckets, that doesn't really do anything else, and some quality role players. The Nets are kind of like the Jazz, where they have all these solid role players that a lot of teams would want, that have nice salaries that you could use to go get a star player. And I guess they're just saying, let's just go get Donovan Mitchell and figure it out after that between him and Mikal Bridges, which I don't know. That's an interesting pairing, but I don't know. I don't know how good that is. So I guess if you're a Nets fan, yeah, I'd rather just have Donovan Mitchell. But I don't know. I don't know what the long-term plan with that is at all. And if you're a Cavs fan, you're probably pretty bummed to see a trade like that, because what does that mean for the Cavs then? Like, are they rebuilding just between Garland and Mobley and Jared Allen? Like, I don't know. It seems weird, considering they made some really nice moves to try and fill holes this year. I don't know. I think people just need to be patient and realize that sometimes seasons don't go completely according to plan, and maybe next year things go a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't see Donovan Mitchell necessarily getting moved. I think that's kind of an overreaction. If they do, y'all can at me in the comments. But as far as like the trades go and everything, these are interesting. You know, it's not quite like the biggest names ever available, but I think there's a lot of quality dudes and a lot of teams that need to fill holes. Like if you're the Lakers or something, you're hoping to walk away with one of these guys, right? Whereas like a team like OKC, like they could just use like a Kelly Olynyk or something, even if it's not a Lauri Markkanen or something. The Magic just needs someone that can shoot, right? The Timberwolves need a backup guard. I think Jordan Clarkson should be on the Timberwolves. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I'll be curious to see when the trades start heating up. Now that we're getting to the January time, that's when the trades can kind of start taking place, right? But hey, let me know what you guys think in the comments below and everything. Let me know who you think should be traded, who should be on this list, what are some potential moves for these guys. But until next time, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.